your podcast is mostly talking to women about how to navigate modern dating better, right?
Yes.
Do you instill any fear almost in them or any urgency in them about kind of getting it figured out quickly when they're approaching that like 30, 35 mark?
So here's my take that's infused with just a little, my personal philosophy and on my podcast, on Jenny from the Pod. So I don't think there's sense in stressing yourself and trying to make things work with someone just because you have urgency. And I also want to highlight the fact that it's the same with men. I don't know if you looked at some studies, but the quality of sperm declines significantly after 35. So men are as much responsible for problems occurring the older they are than women are. The sperm is 50% of the recipe. So there's a lot of studies on that too. So
I actually just looked into this. So there's a lot of studies. Yes, sperm does degrade, but it does not degrade as fast as women's eggs degrade. And actually, a man's DNA, his is not able to make up for the difference in a woman's DNA lacking. So if hers is damaged from being older, if he's younger, his DNA won't heal it. But the other way around, if the woman's younger and the man's older, her DNA will actually help to heal his sperm. And so the man being older and the woman being younger can actually make that situation work.
Oh,
yeah, so it's about 10%.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's about 10% in men over women. So like a 50-year-old man, the effects of his age on his fertility is about 10% of the effects of a woman's age on her fertility who's 50 years old. For men, actually a bigger effect on their fertility is their overall health. So a 20-year-old guy that's obese is going to have more fertility issues, more developmental issues with their children than a guy that's 50 who's in fantastic shape.
Interesting. I'm definitely going to do some.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm going to do some research.
That's actually one of the metrics that really impacts when you're looking at the data for older men's fertility. Most older men are out of shape. Most older men have some type of metabolic disease. So that really impacts when you look at healthy men that are fit, that are in their 50s, their fertility is pretty good compared to the average American that's 25-year-old man.
And for women as well, when it as you pass that 30-year mark, a lot of the pregnancies that you do end up seeing past there are actually not a first child, but maybe a third, fourth, or fifth child. Because if a woman's had multiple children at that point, those risks associated with her being older are a little bit lower. Now, the risks are still there. It's much more difficult having a child at that age than at 20. But it is a little bit easier if it's your fourth or fifth child versus your first.
Interesting. Yeah, I looked it up too. It says couples with men aged 45 and older take 5 times longer to conceive, even when the female partner is under 25, quoted from Harvard Medical School. And then it also says DNA fragmentation in sperm increases significantly after age 40, having high risk of miscarriage, infertility, autism, and schizophrenia. And sperm motility would be reduced by 40 to 50%, according to a study published in Human Reproduction. So it does seem like there's quite the effects too on men's sperm and ability.
What was the age of the men in that study?
Per year after the age of 40, the last one I cited, and the other one after the age of 45.
Yeah, so we'd have to compare it to women's fertility in those age ranges too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So if men are 50% less fertile when they're 50, they could still be very fertile, right? Versus if women are 11% as fertile at 45 as they were at 23, that's a huge difference compared to 50%, right?
Yeah, be interesting to get into it. But to get back to your question, I do think seeing and understanding what's your priority with partner, what's your priority when it comes to family, taking the right precautions are more important than picking a wrong partner and just doing it for the sake of it.
Yeah, it's just something that's interesting to me because I've met a lot of women who are in their 30s, in their early 30s, who had a child pretty young, and it was like a train wreck with the father. And when they're looking back, I've never met one that said, I would go back in time and not have had the child with that man. Like whatever happened in their life after they had the child, having the child and having, that human in their life now that they're taking care of, that loves them, that's raising them, that's more fulfilling than whatever else came with it. That, maybe they chose a guy wrong because they were 20 or whatever it is. So I've never met a woman that was like, I wish I didn't have children. And the same thing with men that I talk to too, that they have a train wreck with their ex-wife or whatever it is, right? They're always like, it was a hot mess, but I wouldn't trade having my kids. Like I would do it again tomorrow to have my kids. Mm-hmm. So I think it's something that, women nowadays that are being told like, put it off, wait till you're 30, 35, go chase your career, date a lot of men, figure out what you want. I think it does a lot of women a disservice. And then they end up 30, 35. And now, we know that men are more interested in women that are in their 20s than in the 30s. So now they can't really lock down the same type of guy. And they come off as kind of crazy because they're like looking for something really serious right out of the gate because they're bumping up against this fertility window. So I think it does women a big disservice, this kind of modern thing where we're like push back having children as far as you can.
Yeah.
I'm going to pause us here and bring on, we have another guest coming on right now, Angie. Angie's been on before. Some of you might recognize her. But Angie hasn't met Chris yet. And if you want to reintroduce yourself, Angie, for anyone who hasn't seen you before, we'll go with your name, age, where you're from, what you do, and relationship status.
My name is Angie. I'm 35. I'm a stay-home girlfriend. What is the other thing that you want to know? Oh, I'm in a relationship, obviously, yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. So a stay-at-home girlfriend. So this I got to hear about. So what does that mean?
That means that I stay home and take care of my man.
So I think that's great, but like, do you do do you help him with his business and do some things like that for him too?
No, that's separate. His business is his own and my responsibility is my own.
So what do you do most of the day?
Well, cook, I clean, I make sure that he's ready for work. I make sure that if he needs something to be planned, then I do that. If he's working from home and some of his employees come over, I make sure that there's lunch on the table and the house is clean and his clothes is done. So he has to think about nothing but working. That's it.
Yeah, and I think that's great. And I think there's nothing better than a man that does the work and is able to provide for a woman to stay home and raise the children. Can you hear us?
Continue.
Well, we might have lost her. But so I think the stay-at-home girlfriend idea is kind of odd because I just can't figure out what you're going to do all day. I'd be bored out of my mind if it was me right now. If you have kids that you're homeschooling, you're raising, little kids in diapers and stuff, then I get it, right? It's a full-time job. But for me, if I had a stay-at-home girlfriend, she's going to be helping me with the business, right? She's going to be doing administrative assistant type tasks until there's kids in diapers, right?
We're back. Can you hear us, Angie? Oh, yes, no. Angie, can you hear us? I don't think so. Okay.
All right, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed that clip. If you want to check out the full-length podcast episode, you can find that right over here. Also, make sure you visit my website over here where you'll find my supplements, the opportunity to book me privately one-on-one for coaching, and most importantly, my new School of Unplugging, which you'll find on the courses tab. Newer to the channel, hit subscribe.